and gentlemen, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hi everybody, it's me, Johnny, and I'm the Atlantic Health System Jets Kid reporter. I'm gonna report on Sauce Gardner today. I'm Sauce. Why do they call you Sauce? Because you like applesauce?
Man, I wish.
My dad always tells me when it's a single high safety, you attack the corners. Is he right?
Most definitely.
I like ketchup on my chicken nuggets. What do you like? What sauce do you like on your ketchup? On your chicken nugget?
I like barbecue sauce.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Thursday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. Where did you get the audio of me last week? Well, I remember when I asked questions like that, it was last week, but I've really tried to improve. That's awesome, man. That was really cool.
Beards is going to just find ways to have athletes talking about chicken nuggets on this show as much as possible.
That's probably right. And if that media member that was there at the NCAA tournament game that was so upset about the Sports Illustrated for Kids reporter, the younger kid that was there asking questions to a coach, he would not have been happy about that line of questioning to Sauce Gardner.
I will say,
we gotta get to
I took some creative liberties with just like the length of the answers that Sauce gave, just because I wanted to get moving on. Because the funny part was the kid asking the questions.
Yeah, I don't care about Sauce's answer.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like the fact that he was like, "Are you called Sauce because you like applesauce?" He
Yeah,
said, "I wish." Well, I mean, it could be that. I mean, your wish is your command.
That's a good point to make there, Beards, because otherwise Sauce Gardner just gave like the most shut down answers to a child reporter. Of like, do you like sauce? Nah.
Nope.
You called sauce because you like sauces? Not really.
Nope.
They put on chicken nuggets. Barbecue. All right, Sauce. Well, thanks for the time. One more. Anybody?
Last one, kid.
Last one?
Few more, kid. Is the PR person there with the with that interview with Sauce Gardner?
You can't have him asking if he has any thoughts on the Deshaun Watson suspension or something. That kid's got to stay in line.
What if that kid just got into?
Oh my goodness. Excuse me, Sauce. Do you have faith in Zach Wilson as a franchise quarterback? Because I'm not sure I do.
Sauce. How much money did you make in college before NIL deals?
He did ask Sauce. So my dad takes me to get ice cream every time the Jets win. How many times do you think we'll be able to get ice cream this year?
Outstanding.
That's a great question.
And he did say a lot, so he wasn't, funny with it. Like twice, maybe.
I'm gonna need specifics. I'm really counting on the ice cream this year.
Which weeks can I plan on going to get ice cream?
Because I'd really like some on September 11th. That would be great. 18th? 25th. Anytime in October.
Am I gonna get to go get ice cream before Christmas?
Will I have ice cream the Sunday after Thanksgiving? Yes or no? Blink twice if the answer is no. Thank you. All right, 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. We'll head up to St. Joe. Final day of practice for the Chiefs. Training camp wrapping up today. They are breaking camp. And right now, Andy Reid is breaking bread with the military that is in attendance with Military Appreciation Day going on in St. Joe. And so we will hear from Andy Reid. In fact, we're going to hear from Andy Reid. Todd Lebo saying right now that Andy Reid is going to be at the podium. Beards, is Andy Reid there? Is Andy Reid at the podium?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. He says, here we go, on the way. Here we go, on the way. That's from Todd Lebo. Here we go typically means he's going to talk.
Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Nick Bolton, the trio today.
That's right. Curtis is now texting and said rolling. Okay. Good to know.
We are all ready for this.
Andy's in the tent. Andy is in the tent. Do we hear anything, Beards? Okay, here we go.
About playing. Chris Jones has back spasms. We'll see about playing there. He is getting better. Blake, we've talked about. Lucas Niang, about. And Smith, about, right? So they're Juju's making progress with his knee. With that, it was great to finish up here. We appreciate everything Missouri Western State University does for us. They roll out the red carpet. It's a great situation here. We appreciate the military so we can do what we do in this great country. You guys right with us on it. We won't hold it against Herbie. But we do appreciate everything that the military does. It's great to bring them out here. The organization to bring them out here and to celebrate them, and they appreciate it, and we appreciate having them here. Anyways, with that, time's yours. Yeah, they give us this opportunity to do this. So until the last one leaves, you sign. Right? If they want it, we give it to them, and so we can do what we do. You know, I've seen it firsthand. I had a chance to go to Afghanistan a few years back, and the work and the dedication that they put in. They honor the flag and what it means, and they work their tail off. I was telling the quarterbacks that they have these treadmills lined up. These guys are in full gear, plus their rifles, plus their pistol, and they're running. And when they stop running for an hour, they go pump weights. When they get done pumping the weights, they get back on, they run some more. It's incredible. And it's 100 whatever degrees. It's outdoor weight room and conditioning place. And I'm just so that they can compete against, in this case, it was the Afghan, Taliban. So it's amazing dedication that they do. I mean, Herbie knows this, but it's the dedication is incredible, and it's everybody. I mean, we're in Afghanistan. There's one river, tiny, like a creek, and the Navy's there. So it's everybody. Everybody does it, and they do it with passion.
Coach, how would you characterize this camp? Did you get done everything you wanted?
Yes, I did. Well, we did. I think I challenged the guys with some, which I think was important. That bonding becomes important, and you bond when you've got to do something tough. And they answered the bell, and every day. So I appreciate the effort that went into it, and I know some of them were hurting, but they got up and they pushed through, and that foundation will pay off for them down the road here.
Coach, you mentioned your seat on game status for McCoy and Crystal. How much of that also applies to Juju?
Yeah, I don't think Juju will probably play this game. Yeah. I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
What about your rotation on Saturday?
Yeah, so we'll go somewhere first half with ones. It might be shorter than that, but I'm going to just see how things go, and then the rest of the guys will fill in. Chad Henne won't play this game like last year. We sit him and give the two young guys some extra time.
How would you characterize the competitiveness of this camp? Offense versus defense, kind of like win one day, the other
Yeah.
win one day?
Yeah, I thought it was great competition. Really, you break it down by play. So they challenged each other, and again, that's all you can ask for as a coach. So, and I thought it was great for the young guys to see that and feel that you have to come out here every day in the right mindset, and you have to challenge every play. And then if you get beat, you got to learn from it, and then erase it and get on to the next play. And if you let it linger, then you got a problem. Then you're going to back-to-back these things, and that's you can't do that at this level.
Talking about chemistry, after this game, outside of you and me being running after Coach some of those what did you just kind of see in that relationship between those two guys and how he does it?
Yeah, well, he and Girardi are close, and Girardi was a quarterback too, and so and they're Girardi's not as old as Nags and I, so there's a good relationship there, and I think that quarterback room in general is a good thing. But he's an up and coming coach, and because of what Pat's saying, I mean, you understand that if he's complimenting him, he's on the rise, and we all have a lot of confidence in him.
Came to Andrew Wiley. It seemed like that position might have been up for draft entry camp. How do you impressed you been?
Yeah, I think the best about Andrew Wiley, he doesn't let any noise bother him. I mean, that's the best part. He just kind of goes and does what he does and is excited to be in there going, and a very humble guy. I mean, you just think about, we brought all these linemen in last year, and he went from being a starter to a backup, and then had an opportunity to jump in as a starter, and he didn't flinch. Most guys would fall apart. I can't believe they're doing this. But he didn't, none of that. He just plays.
Coach, you guys are one of only 6 or 7 teams left in the NFL that still go outside of their home city camp. 8 of the first 11 years in St. Joe playoffs. You're back to kind of full capacity this year. Does that recent success partnered with coming to St. Joe, is that just coincidental, or is there more to that deal?
Well, listen, I'm never going to slight the people here because they bend over backwards for us, whether it's taking care of the fields, and our people are involved with that too. But they take care of these fields, the food, and which is a monster project. So it's not just the football team, but it's all the interns, it's all the staff. There's a ton of people, and you got to stay on top of your game for that. The way they take care of our rooms. I mean, we're in dorms. That's the cinder block is a cinder block, but they keep it clean for you, right? They keep it clean and make sure the trash is all the little things. So we don't have to worry about all that. You know, and then our equipment staff, you know, the people that get no credit, they bust their tail too. I mean, the laundry for all of us is ridiculous. And Schropp and Allen get in there and they, you know, turn that stuff around every day. I mean, it's crazy.
A couple more guys. Today being the interest camp, is there something that jumps out to you positively or negatively that you may have not anticipated?
Yeah, so I think if you look back, this camp went fairly fast. Why? So not a lot of distractions. Guys coming in, working hard. New bodies in here wanting to learn. New guys in here wanting to learn, and they're excited to be here. This guy over here, Patrick, and his attitude. You know, it's a positive attitude from your leadership group every day, and he tries to get better every day. Kelsey tries to get better every day. Chris Jones tries to get better. You know, 55. I mean, they're all in there just battling like crazy. Frank Clark, and you know, I mean, I appreciate that, and that becomes contagious. And then it presents you with a good camp when it's all said and done. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, probably sleeping in your own bed, right? But that's probably it. And you know, we're going to continue to work hard. We'll be more on a normal schedule back there, and get the guys into the swing of that. Let them get into the groove of what they're going to be doing during the season, schedule-wise. So. All right. Good.
Thank you.
All right, there's Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes probably pretty quick because he was talking about Patrick Mahomes and said this guy right here. So we'll probably be a quick transition between Andy and Patrick Mahomes. But here is Patrick right now.
Long hair, camp days. Oh yeah, we're getting a haircut tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's camp days. I gave my headband away. That usually kind of hides it. So haircut's coming soon. Yeah. No, you have to get the haircut as quickly as possible. Yeah, I think we took a giant step as far as kind of how we do things. I mean, we have the talent. We got the guys that can go out there and make the plays. But like Coach Reid runs a tough training camp. It's just kind of what we've been known for. I think it makes us better for it. And I think guys, as we went on, understood that. And they came out with the mindset they're going to compete every single day. And I think you saw offense have good days. You saw defense have good days. And that's usually a good sign for a good football team.
On that side, the defense had some good days, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like that part of the defense challenge you guys?
I mean, you have to love it. If you're dominating on offense every day and they're not doing anything, it's usually a bad sign because you know it's going to be a kind of a tough year. So you want it to kind of be mixed. I mean, obviously as an offensive player, you want to dominate every single day, but you know there's going to be days where they have their day and they're going to go out there and compete, have those competitors. And I mean, you want a little trash talk. I mean, you don't want fights necessarily, but you want trash talk. You want guys competing because at the end of the day, that's what makes great football teams and makes it's guys on both sides of the ball competing every single time. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be exciting opportunity for them. I mean, you saw guys like Sky and Justin Watson kind of make plays when they came in this first preseason game with Shane and Chad. And so for them to make plays there, they're going to get obviously more reps with me in this game. So I'm interested to see how they kind of maximize that opportunity. But, I mean, they've been doing it at practice. They've been making the plays at practice and doing everything the right way. And so for them to get in there and get some opportunity to run with the ones, I think it'll help us out in the long run whenever we do get those guys back to having a good group of guys that can go in at any time.
You see a lot of growth in a lot of the new receivers, guys like MVS and Juju before he got hurt, and Stein Moore in particular?
Yeah, no, I think I've seen a ton of growth. That's kind of the kind of guys I was referencing early is, I mean, for those receivers in training camp OTAs, I mean, there's a lot of routes ran. We practice fast. We keep things rolling in the time period, and they kind of have to be in and out. And we're running a lot of deep routes. And so you can see in OTAs, it was really getting after them. They were pushing through. And then as you got to, like, this mid part of camp, you saw that they had their legs under them. They were running these routes, getting back in the huddle, running them again. And they were recognizing coverages as they were doing them. So I think it was very, very good for them to kind of get down here, see how we do things. And now as we get back to Kansas City and get closer to this season, we'll refine that and make sure they're ready to go then. I don't say good. Chris Jones, I mean, he was dominant. It's the first one that I think of. I mean, I think the biggest thing with Chris this year, I mean, from what I saw, it was the run and the pass. I mean, he was down there dominating stuff, making tackles on run game, just as much as he was getting to the quarterback and getting around me, affecting how I threw the ball. I thought some of the receivers had great camps. I thought Noah Gray had a great camp, kind of making stuff happen. I thought Jody, up until the injury, but he was having a great camp, and I thought he kind of bouncing back as he got back involved. So I think it's a lot of guys had great camps out here, and I mean, you expect guys like Chris, Travis, and all them to have great camps, but seeing other guys have great camps is always a good thing. Yeah, I think we have a lot of versatile receivers. We got some guys that are really fast. That can still go up and make catches. I think you saw that with the videos on Twitter with Watson in the end zone yesterday, and 2 days ago Marquez in between two defenders going up and make a high point in the ball. So when you have guys that are big, they can still run fast and stretch the field, but can make those tough contested catches. It shows how versatile they are, and I think it kind of attests that it's going to come from everywhere this year. It's not going to be one guy. It's going to be everybody's going to have to kind of put their blueprint on this offense. And I'm excited for it.
You had a bunch of guys in the wide receiver room that you were familiar with. Now you have a lot of those new guys, and their learning curve may be a little bit different than the guys that you were familiar with before. Does that change how you the teaching style and what you want them to do?
I don't think it changes my teaching style. I think that they've done a great job of asking questions. I think that's the biggest thing. They're asking the right questions. We're talking about it in the film room when we're watching film, and we're making the adjustments. We're not making the same mistakes twice. And I think you've seen that, and it's kind of exciting to see whenever they make adjustments on routes kind of based off coverage. You throw it on time, and it works because you know that they've learned from the last time when they may have not done that. And I think that just comes with more and more reps, and we'll continue to get those. And I'm excited for these guys, man. We got a good group of receivers, and I'm excited for them to kind of showcase what their talent is.
A couple more guys who said before the first preseason game, you only get hit once. What do you want to get out of this next one? Hit twice?
Well, I'm not trying to get hit as hard as I did the first one. So I want to get out there. I want to, kind of like you always want to do in the preseason. You want to move the ball down the field, kind of go through the procedure of everything. And hopefully you get at least one touchdown in there. I mean, our goal is to score every time we're on the field, every opportunity that Coach Reed gives me. But you want to be in and out the huddle the right way, at moving the ball and executing the offense.
Second little clips there. So they got to do that. Obviously some seriousness to take away from those press conferences. But here's Nick Bolton.
I feel like it's a great camp for me. Kind of stepping into the leadership role, calling the plays on the defense, kind of getting more comfortable with Coach Fats likes to call certain situations because I didn't have that last year. His being a Mike, he kind of got those conversations that he got throughout the headset, throughout camp and stuff like that. So just hearing the information that he's giving out, also just building touch with the guys we got around here. We got a lot of vets coming in on D-line. Kind of older guys, so getting their respect as well. I'm still a young guy, my second year, so just getting respect to those older vets and kind of put them in the best position possible to go out there and compete and have fun. And so I feel like this camp was very beneficial for me. Yeah. I had it last year, but having it for the start of the game, kind of get the flow of the game, kind of as the game goes on, rather than having it in certain situations, stuff like that. So I liked it. It was fun out there. Again, it's a good put on the pads. I'll go out there and execute and have fun with your boys. So I'm looking forward for this week as well. Veteran leadership, that's one of the first points. I've been around a lot of football. I've seen a lot of things, and also it's coming every single day, putting the work in. He knows what it takes at this level to compete and play hard, and put himself in the best position possible every single play. So he brings that every single day, and we just communicate and talk. He's a very vocal guy on the field, kind of lets us know what I got to underroute or overroute, something like that. And also when we're working together and stuff like that. So he's been a vocal guy leadership-wise, and so I'm excited for him. To be a leader, my dad did. Kind of set the table for me and my brothers. I'm one of 5 boys, so it's always one of those things that we kind of grew up with. We understand how to be leaders, do stuff the right way, not necessarily always just yelling, being the most vocal guy, kind of leading by example, doing a little bit of everything. So that's kind of where I learned it from, and it's kind of just transcended and kind of going a little bit further as the steps go along the way, and just kind of embracing my role here. Yeah, it kind of just lets you be yourself. It's a fun guy, goofy guy. So when you're joking around and stuff like that, kind of throughout the days don't feel as long when you got Chris Jones in your locker room. Him, Frank, Bink, all those D-line guys, just chopping it up with those guys. Turk, Mike Dana, all those guys kind of make it fun to be here. And so just bring that excitement to camp. Again, it's a man's game, but you're still playing a kid's game as well. So just having fun with it. Every single day, just kind of having fun, joking around, having fun, and whether we walk through before we started, chopping it up with each other on the sidelines, just bringing fun, make sure we're having fun out here and enjoying what we're doing. You know it's Willie. It's a big juice man. That's Willie. That's Willie all 100%. We kind of preached it earlier in the offseason. Kind of heard a couple guys coming through and say it's attitude defense. We want to have an attitude. I want to know we all going to play together. We're young, so we're not going to be perfect every single play. We can make it up with running around, having fun, speed to the ball, again 11 hats to the ball, creating turnovers, just having fun and having juice. And so we're going to that's our creed going into the season. We're going to live by that. We're going to run around, have fun, and have an attitude defense this year for sure. Yeah. Yeah, my man Sleep got out there yesterday. He got after it. I kind of missed having him out there, so it was exciting to have Sleep back out there with Shy Fenton. But yeah, having him out there, having Juice out there. Willie, again, he's always Juice man. Then Chris Jones, he kind of missed the last couple of days out there for us, but he's been huge for us and also having energy and just having fun out there. So I'm excited for it. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there's Nick Bolton. The attitude, the juice, certainly that's what it looked like early in the game against the Bears, and when those starters were out. Let's see what it looks like against the Commanders. Then of course final preseason game, and then of course September 11th when the season actually starts. But it's interesting he's talking about the different guys that bring the attitude or the juice or that competitiveness or trash talking, and absolutely Rashad Fenton being one of those guys. I mean, the videos floating around out there online, if you haven't seen it, of Fenton and Patrick Mahomes going at it, trash talking.
Did you see Fenton's tweet about that after the fact?
I did not.
It was interesting. It was good.
For those that didn't see, Mahomes then is on video saying, "You're holding every bleeping play. You're bleeping holding the whole time. Every play you're holding." So he and Fenton were going back and forth. What did Fenton tweet out after that?
Fenton tweeted in response to that clip saying, "I understand the league and our fans are obsessed with the offense success, but it's practice. If the wide receivers or tight ends gain separation by pushing off on me, I'm going to regain my position. If they gain separation by footwork or stimming me properly, it's fair game." And usually, like whenever a player like jumps to their own defense on Twitter, usually it comes. I don't know. Most of the time, it's please don't say I was mad. Look at how mad I'm not. But for that, that's just. It's just, I wish we would have heard from Rashad Fenton. I don't think we heard from him at the podium over the entirety of camp. And I think there is just like, hey, here's what it's like to be a defensive back going up against Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce every day. I thought that was really interesting, very honest, and like totally reasonable.
Well, I know the advantage is always offense when it comes to those things because, I mean, just look at that Mizzou-Kentucky game a couple of years ago when it was offensive pass interference and they called it on the defense. Mizzou gave them a fresh set of downs. Then it was an obvious push-off for the touchdown that they didn't call.
The most relevant example you could have picked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's always advantage offense in those situations, but it is the quarterback mantra, you push, I pull.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially in one-on-ones in training camp, like you're going to have some and also
don't get mad at me for pulling when you just pushed off. You know, if you don't want me to grab you, then don't push me.
And Mahomes even mentioned at some point during camp, like specifically by name, the juice that Fenton brings to that entire process. Like it just, if this ever ended in Travis Kelce and Rashad Fenton grabbing each other's face masks and trying to get in some punches, the vibe would be very, very different. But you have every reason to believe this is a iron sharpening iron type of moment.
Do you know how weak this defense would be if they were intimidated and didn't want to talk trash to whether it's Mahomes or Chad Henne or anybody? At that point, you're like, I don't care if it's 15. I don't care if it's, number 1. And on different teams. I don't care if it's number 12. It doesn't matter. I'm going to talk trash to you because I made the interception, and I'm going to let you know I made the interception. Okay, and then Mahomes is going to talk trash back, and that's where that competitive nature comes in because, all right, I'm going to beat you on this play. Oh, that's how you go? Okay, I'm going to beat you on this play. Nope, I talk trash, I'm going to back it up. I'm going to beat you on this play, as opposed to going through the motions and, all right, when's this drill over? How many more reps do we have? No, I'm gonna whoop you on this play here. You push, I pull. I don't care. The only thing is, like, so somebody tweet out, was like, well, now the refs know that they're going to be holding every play. Thanks a lot, Patrick. And because it's Twitter, I honestly didn't know if they were serious or not.
I think they're probably looking for it already, guys. I think the refs are probably already going to be looking out for some holding in the slot.
And it's like, well, you can't get mad that the refs are calling holding on the G. I mean, Patrick Mahomes said they hold every time. I hope you're joking because, come on, it's competitive.
People on Twitter are never joking.
That's a good point. Don't look up Dupree. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Talk more about what we heard from the press conferences. Here's how the show lines up today. We'll talk with Kent Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock. Nate Bukaty will hang out with us in the noon hour with the Big Steps run coming up this weekend. Get his thoughts on that and proceeds and how you can help out or be a part of it. And we'll also talk with Desiree Scott, midfielder for the KC Current, as they've got the game tomorrow night against Angel City, trying to break the attendance record, getting over 10,000. And, of course, there's the media game going on at halftime, which is a big deal. I mean, if you want to go out there, it might be specific for the media game. And then also there'll be an actual game going on with one of the hottest teams in the entire NWSL with a 10 straight unbeaten streak for this current team.
You want to watch some really out of shape people do something between watching a bunch of really in shape people doing the exact same thing? You will never have a greater appreciation for soccer players than you will in the second half of that game, or at halftime perhaps. We're going to embarrass the sport.
More Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. In the Zone.
Perfect sports radio right there. That's great. It's awesome. Worst thing ever. Dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
With Jason Anderson.
I kind of agree with both.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, so again, here's how the show lines up. We'll talk with Kent Swanson coming up at 11 o'clock, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Get his thoughts on the Chiefs, what he saw from game number 1, what he expects from game number 2, and camp number 9 in St. Joe complete. Is it number 9 in St. Joe? 10, 11, 12?
I saw somebody tweet out
13,
something about Camp 9,
14?
and I got confused.
No, because it was, well, that's got to be your bowl.
I was not prepared for this question.
Head up a Butchers, then probably want to take the Bulls' word for it, probably. But either way, camp done. They head back to Kansas City. They get ready for the Commanders on Saturday, and then practice the rest of the way with one more preseason game on Thursday, a week from today. And then it will be pretty dark with the Chiefs from that point until Labor Day. So from the 26th, what would that be, 25th next Thursday, and then Friday the 26th from that point forward. Nothing from the Chiefs until Labor Day, and that will be the week when they'll be just like a regular press conference week with the Chiefs. So a couple of more games to go. 2 games in 7 days the Chiefs will play, so we'll have a lot to talk about and discuss with this Chiefs team. But Kent Swanson at 11 o'clock, Nate Bukaty, we'll talk with him coming up at noon. Sports or Leisure, presented by Johnny's Tavern in the 1 o'clock hour. And then we will talk with Desiree Scott, midfielder for the KC Current and captain. We'll talk with her sometime in the noon hour, we believe, that we will talk with Desiree. So, big game coming up tomorrow night for the Current, and we'll catch up with her. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810 is the text line. Real quick to pass along, there's expected to be news on the Deshaun Watson suspension an appeal hearing. It's either going to be a settlement or a final decision from Peter Harvey. The word, or I shouldn't say expectation, but maybe belief is sort of the same as expectation, but a lesser, a weaker version of that is that there will be some sort of a deal reached on a suspension that will be less than a year. That might be around 12 to 14 games, and it will be underwhelming if that is the case. If it's not a full year, that will be underwhelming, even if it's 12 games. Even if it's, well, they raised it and made that suspension twice as long, essentially. At that point, it's like, is it good enough? No, it's not going to be good enough unless he misses all year. So we'll see what happens with that sometime today. 913-912-4810. Patrick Mahomes, big news, getting a haircut tomorrow.
Most important thing. Also, I have hashtag sources who have hashtag informed me who may or may not be related to Nick Jacobs of KSHB 41.
Yeah.
Saying that is Camp 12.
12?
Since 2010 in St. Joe. COVID camp would have made it. Lucky 13. Thank you, unnamed source who may be related to Nick Jacobs from KSHB 41. Source close to Nick Jacobs, because the source might have been his cell phone texting me. Thank you, Nick.
Jick Nacobs, who was Nacobs, not Nakeds. Nacobs.
Yeah, you said that.
Nacobs.
So, did you say that in your head before you said it out loud, or did you just go for it?
I just went for it.
Okay, because that one made. I don't know why. I think it's Jick.
That's what I think. Jick scared you?
It scared me. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Something about
more like
Jick Nacobs.
More like jerk. Am I right?
That's
jerk. No, not really.
Asen Janderson doesn't really work. You can't really do yours.
Nope, not at all.
Doesn't work out.
I liked the earlier today when Jeff Jadia was on with the Border Patrol, and he said that he can confirm and has reported that the MRI for McCole Hardman, it is not serious, and he's going to be fine. And I think Steven said something along the lines was, so Was it hard, man, for your source to get you the information? Did you find it hard, man, to be able to report that? And Shadia was like, it's hard, man. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, and I'm not going to say who the source is, that I talked to.
Sounds like Steven was making quite a veach there.
Whoa.
Huh.
Maybe he was trying to read into it a little bit too much. Maybe he should go Mahome. Sorry, that didn't work. Damn it. One step too far.
Look, Jeff's out there. He's just out there Brant Tilling into the grounds. Sorry, that you want to talk about a reach.
That was
I couldn't think of another Chiefs front office member other than Brant Tillis. Like, okay, Tilling.
No, the problem is when Shadia says I'm reporting and I have a source, stop nagging him.
That's
all right,
good.
just let him go. Stop it.
You make your bed. You gotta blame iron it.
You're going to create a enemy with Chidi if you keep.
That's a great point.
If you keep pushing and trying to get his source.
You guys should read the room. These jokes are kind of dumb.
Steve Martin, also a prop comic. Thank you. Thank you, Beards.
You're welcome.
So our reaction from the press conference is that Patrick Mahomes got a haircut.
I have one thing, and boy, I can't tell you why
Gonna get a
today.
haircut.
I can't tell you why today was the day that did it for me.
Okay.
I think it was a juxtaposition of Andy Reid saying Hardman and Chris Jones could play on Saturday. They shouldn't. I don't think they will.
No.
But hey, they could play on Saturday. I would like to make a personal announcement here today at 10:47 on 10:48 on August 18th. I am formally and officially worried about Juju Smith-Schuster's knee.
Well, I would be if it wasn't for Andy Reid saying he'll be back at practice next week. It wasn't a he'll be back. It was a it was Andy Reid's he'll be back without saying he'll be back.
Please stop misrepresenting Andy Reid. That is not how he said it. That is not all the energy that I got from that answer.
That's an Andy Reid. Lock it up, mark it down, take it to the bank. It's going to be collecting interest. It's right there. That is an Andy Reid stamp of approval. It is a guarantee he will be practicing next week.
Literally day today is all that Andy Reid didn't say to make me more nervous about Juju.
Stop pummeling him with these questions about Juju and just simply accept the answer. All right?
Pummel? Is that a pummel? Is that a pun?
No.
Pummel.
Remember he was talking about Eric. If you're going to pummel me with all these different questions, I'm only going to do the one.
I don't know, man. It just made me a little bit nervous. It had a different energy than the minor nature for Hardman and Chris Jones. Also, it is a knee. He said spasms, both for Hardman's groin and for Jones's back. Like, just knee, probably not going to play. Not going to play on Saturday. Should be back for practice next week. It's just vague enough to give me room to imagine that it might not be good.
That's Andy Reid's going to be vague in general. That
Sure.
one is that was as strong of a he's good. Andy Reid. We'll hear that. We need to cut that up and really dissect that.
We should.
The tone, the inflection, the cadence, all of it. We need to figure it out.
Be out for the year now because you were so confident in it.
I also liked how we talked about the dorm, like it's a cinder block, but they keep it clean.
Cinder block's a cinder block.
They keep it clean, which you guys won't get this reference. So I was going to say the reference, and I'm like, well, I probably got to tell you the reference from next Friday when it was like, well, I was down there getting the 20s. All right, them 10s. But I keep them clean, though. When he said they keep it clean, it's the first thing that popped in my head. You guys wouldn't get it.
No.
So it doesn't matter. There's an audience out there that probably thought the same thing. All right, it's when I got those 20s. All right, they're 10s, but I keep them clean, though.
And that's what you're here for, is to make
Not
sure
you
those
two.
people get the reference.
Not you two, though.
We'll
Not
reference
you two.
Pokemon.
One other actual takeaway, and we'll go to break, is Mahomes was asked who had a good camp immediately. Chris Jones, dominant. Dominant. It stood out.
No hesitation.
It wasn't everybody's had like when he was asked about the wide receivers, that was a political. I don't want to point and say one particular wide receiver when I'm working with them every day, right?
Yep.
Oh, just everybody's had a good game. Everybody's had their blah 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 blah. Who's had a good camp? Chris Jones, dominant against the run, against the pass. He's been dominating this camp. That's exciting.
Yes.
So I was wondering if Mahomes would say one particular player, and he did. That was good. Wide receivers, all really good. Everybody's had a good camp in the wide receiver room.
Think about how dominant Chris Jones would be if they put him at the edge.
No. I don't think it would work. I'd like to see it, though. Just one time.
Just one season.
Why don't they give it a shot? Just take a chance and see what you have there. I mean, you got Danny Shelton. He takes up 2 spots on the inside. I'll wrap up this hour next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810.
Choice for lawyers.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Appreciate the phone call, man. 267.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, little news on Deshaun Watson as, well, just what people thought would be the case is the case. Josh, what's the news on Deshaun Watson?
Jonathan Jones of CBS tweets out that Deshaun Watson's settlement will be 11 games, a $5 million fine, and counseling per multiple sources. He's eligible to return versus the Texans in Week 12. Or Game 12, I should say. I don't know what week their bye is. Week 13 in Houston against the Texans.
That seems very light considering what the NFL wanted. You're talking about a full season and applying for reinstatement. Instead, it's 11 games, a $5 million fine. And then see you back here on the field, Deshaun.
Listen to all the... The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I am incapable of not being annoying. I've tried it.
That's true.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a couple more on the Deshaun Watson 11-game suspension and $5 million fine. It is a settlement, so this is the end of it. There won't be an appeal, and there won't be legal action. Like, Deshaun Watson's camp is not going to come to a settlement of 11 games and then sue in the court to get it down to 0. This is okay, let's do it. Let's move forward. We won't go to court if it's 11 games. And, okay, this is going to be done, and it's over, and we can stop talking about it, and it won't last until next year and all of that stuff. It'll be the 11 games. And then there's also a conspiracy theory that it was going to be 12 until they saw that the 12th game would be the Houston Texans, so they knocked it down to 11 so that Deshaun Watson can play against the Houston Texans in that first game back against the Browns, which, by the way, I'm not sure what the reasons for that would be. But I'm here for the conspiracy theory, if that's the case, behind the scenes of what they would accomplish by Deshaun playing against the Houston Texans other than, oh, by the way, there would be interest and people watching and,
If there's any juice to that, that is the most shameless all publicity is good publicity that anyone has ever done.
Yeah,
absolutely. It would be the NFL saying, yeah, you know what? Game of the week. Everyone will be talking about it. They will.
We're going to flex this thing?
Let's flex this thing to Sunday Night Football so we can this is the reason that I tend to not buy a conspiracy theory around it.
Yeah.
Because the story of the week would be, hey, here's the serial sexual assaulter's return to the field against the team that traded him away because of all of the serial sexual assaulting. But I don't know that that's good for the NFL.
I mean, so if they settled at 11 games, I mean, was it a point to where the Deshaun Watson side was like, no, 11, I want to play against the Texans? It's not 12. It's 11, and I will go up against the Houston Texans.
I don't think Deshaun Watson would force his will on somebody else.
Well, that's why he has people working for him, so he can just sit back and let everybody else do the work.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Let's hear from Andy Reid, and then we'll talk with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast.
Kent been on hold
he's
this whole
on.
time?
He's on hold. He's on hold. But I want to hear from Andy Reid, and then we'll give our take, and then we'll have Kent Swanson be the tiebreaker. Okay. So here's Andy Reid weighing in on Mecole Hardman and Chris Jones of playing, and then Juju not playing, but then practicing, maybe not. You'll hear Andy Reid's actual words for next week. And Josh and I disagree on the tone, the inflection, and what Andy Reid actually means when he says this. So let's take a listen.
Just real quick on the injuries. Mecole still has a groin spasm. It's getting better. We'll see about playing. Chris Jones has back spasm. We'll see about playing there. He is getting better.
Coach, you mentioned just the game status for Mecole and Chris Jones. How much of that also applies to Juju?
Yeah, I don't think Juju will probably play this game. Yeah.
You think he'll be back to practice next week?
I think there's a good chance, yeah.
So the argument being, let's bring in Kent Swanson here from KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. Kent, the argument being, Brisco heard that and got really worried about Juju Smith-Schuster's
being misrepresented by Jason.
The extent of the injury for Juju, and my takeaway was that's as Andy Reid as it gets of, yeah, he'll be back at practice next week. There's a good chance he'll be back at practice. Yeah, he's not going to play this week. He didn't practice all week, so he's not going to play on Sunday. Will he be back at practice? Yeah, there's a good chance. Kent, what's your takeaway in view of this very, very particular, specific argument over a couple of words from Andy Reid, which is just perfect sports radio?
This is radio gold right here, fellas. As quickly as he went to, saying he's going to practice, I think he will. It's kind of convenient that that's the week of practice that we don't see. It's not in St. Joseph next week, so the Chiefs can call him limited or whatever, and you can say he's practicing. And he walked on the field for 5 seconds and then came back off, and he's limited in practice, right? So. It might be a little bit of gamesmanship. He didn't look ready to practice when he was walking on the field with Justin Ross, though. There's a little gift to him. I don't know if you guys saw. I think we actually posted at KC Sports Network. There's a video of him Justin Ross walking onto the field. Boy, I didn't think he looked a week out from practice.
And, Kent, to Jason's point, I mean, when has there ever been a long nagging injury that has impacted the Chiefs in any way 15 or 16 weeks into the season? I'm not saying he won't practice next week. I'm saying I'm officially wondering what's going on with the sort of mysterious knee of Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah,
I am not worried about what that's going to mean for his season from this point on. I get nervous about knee stuff.
I know that everybody wants to come back to Eric Berry, which is great. I mean, we can talk about Eric Berry all day, but it would have been very easy if somebody said, will he be at practice next week, for him to go, we'll see. We'll see. He's getting better, and we'll just have to see how it responds and everything with the knee. But yeah, we'll see about next week in practice, as opposed to, there's a good chance he'll practice next week.
It's just a really weird take for me to be like, hey, you know what? I'm not worried about the number one receiver's knee after he didn't finish out training camp. Like, I feel like it's a reasonable thing to be a little curious about.
No, I think
that's where I'm coming from.
Well, what's the level of worry, though? Go ahead, Kit.
I was going to say, it's not like Juju Smith-Schuster's bill of health has been particularly clean, easier.
Oh, I agree.
You know what? Honestly, I get that. Like, there's a little reason to be nervous there, too, because this man has had his injuries, he's had his issues, and I think if anyone talked before the season started, the real concern, and probably the only concern about Juju Smith-Schuster, was health. Like, I think on the field he's outstanding. It's just a matter of, like, he's having a hard time staying healthy.
No, see, and I agree with you. Like, the worry would be, well, Juju injury concern, and he didn't finish camp, and he's not going to play in the second preseason game. But the original discussion was, is he going to practice next week or not? And my view being, yeah, I hear Andy Reid say that, and I hear Andy Reid say that he's going to practice next week. And Brisco was saying, no, I hear Andy Reid say that. I think he might have a career-ending knee injury.
That's what I said.
I thought it was odd that you went that length, Josh.
I said I think he might retire before the Chiefs take a field again.
Yeah.
And I know, and that, maybe I did overreact at that
Amputation
point.
was an option. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I thought I said, I think what I said, we could check the tape. I think what I said was amputation is the only option.
Okay, yeah. Right. And it's not an option. It's the only option. Yeah.
That was what I heard there from Andy Reid.
See, Kent, I thought that was an overreaction, but I could be wrong. So
Jason's never been wrong.
No, that's par for the course with Joshua Brisco.
Yeah. And again, granted that, yes, there was the Eric Berry. So, Juju may not practice for another 3 weeks.
I am much more worried. I am much more worried about if we're going to see Juju Smith-Schuster limited participant knee in like week 8 than I am if he'll practice or not next week.
Totally agreed.
That is where I am not worried.
100% agreed. I don't think we'll see him next Thursday anyway. Even if he practices next week, I don't think we'll see him next Thursday.
We'd rather not.
Yeah, I
agree. See you in
Glendale,
Juju.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully see you in Glendale again.
See you in Glendale twice.
Yeah, that would be great. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. All right, Kent, what was your takeaway in reaction to game number 1 against the Bears, getting everybody to weigh in on at least some things that they took away? What was your takeaway in view from that game?
I came away quite pleased with the rookie class. Like, I think that was the storyline that kept hitting for me. Is like there's so many different, positive signs, and this team's going to rely on this rookie class. I think more than they ever have in the Andy Reid era. And man, there's so many positive indicators with Karlaftis looking a little bit more flexible, more fluid through his frame, and a little sack production. Sky Moore I thought looked great. I don't know if he had like the most explosive game necessarily, but tough catch on third down, the toe tap down the sidelines. Like, there's some really positive stuff there. Young corners, I think they all look the part. Even get something out of Jalen Watson. Jalen Watson looks like he's making that football team. So many positive signs. That Isaiah Pacheco guy, ever heard of him? I'm forgetting guys
briefly.
Off the top of the head. Like, he's real quiet. It's been a really quiet, preseason for him, obviously, and no one's talking about him at all, especially at a national level. But you just go down the list of all these guys, and there's reasons to be encouraged. And if the Chiefs, obviously a couple of these guys we're talking about are going to fall by the wayside. Like, that's just the nature of it, right? But I think almost every rookie showed something, to get excited about. And, the hit rate on this draft class is looking like it's going to be pretty solid here 2 years from now.
Yeah. One preseason game in, which is all we can go off of, the only data point we have. It's pretty exciting. Do you think, Mahomes said today that the different guys that'll step up and the wide receiver group that he has and how diverse it is, that you've got bigger guys. And he talked about, guys going up and make a play in the, Juju in the end zone, and the MVS video that you guys tweeted out the other day with Mahomes rolling to his right. That probably would have been a Frank Clark sack, which is another positive from that. But Mahomes rolling to his right, throws an absolute dime down the field, like 25 yards down the field, right between Juan Thornhill and Snead, and MVS goes up and makes the catch, gets feet down. And it's like, wow, he hasn't really had a receiver that can do that. But he talked about how it's going to be so many different guys involved. It's not going to be one particular guy. In the game against the Bears, Kent, 6 completions, 6 different players, wide receiver, running backs. You think that's the theme of this, that there won't be, outside of Kelsey, which will obviously lead the league in targets, or lead the team in targets, outside of Kelsey, that it may be as balanced as what we saw with one drive with a new set of receivers?
Well, I think that drive is going to exemplify the season perfectly, because Juju didn't get a catch either. So, he's probably not going to be playing the rest of the season either. But
it's a great point. Great point.
I think, I think we're going to go an entire preseason without Juju getting the ball.
I agree with that, yeah.
It's wonderful. No, I think, I do think, like, everything they're saying, and I think it all lines up. Like, I think we're going to see Travis Kelce's going to get plenty of targets. He's the guy that you're going to see featured in a lot of different ways. But I do think it's going to be a spreading of the football around, and I think that's good for this offense. I think it's going to be like, there's a lot of people talking about it lately, like, hey, this could be a good thing for this offense. Like, losing Tyreek Hill's never, it's always difficult to lose a guy like that, but like, I do think the Chiefs have done a really good job of insulating themselves with enough pass catchers that are more than capable of being productive and being consistent when their name gets called. And I really like the outlook of that. And I loved how evenly distributed the football was in that first series with Mahomes.
Anything to major takeaway that, I've pointed this out a couple of times, that 11 plays on the opening drive, 5 of them with Burton on the field. And even if you eliminate the 3rd and 1, which was handoff to Burton, then 4 of the 10 plays were with Burton on the field, and 3 of those 4 were on first down. Any takeaway from that, or is that Andy Reid being vanilla, using a different type of package, something like that?
I fully think it's Andy Reid being vanilla.
Okay.
I just, if you're talking about putting your best 11 players on the field, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to slander the good name of Michael Burton, but he is not one of their best 11. And I think if you just consistently put him on the field, you are diminishing the skill players that, the value of the skill players that you have on your roster. So I don't really buy too much into, I think it was just preseason. I mean, the Chiefs used fullback a little bit more in the preseason than most teams anyway. I mean, that's just,
interesting.
This isn't new. I think, it's kind of gotten a little bit of attention this year, but this isn't the first time that he's used the fullback a little bit in preseason.
So you're saying that Burton won't have like 60% snap count this year?
I don't think Michael Burton is Kyle Juszczyk. No, I don't.
I mean, if we can cut that and hear Kent Swanson say Michael Burton is Kyle Juszczyk. Because, we did that with Corey when he talked about Derek Carr, and we sort of spliced that into him talking about Derek Carr being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and I love Derek Carr, and I'm a big Raiders fan. Like, he was going through all of those things. No, I'm going to erase that if you cut it. So we can do that with Kent as well, and say Michael Burton is the next Kyle Juszczyk. Okay, good to know.
Beard can do anything, man.
Yeah.
If he's paying attention, I almost had to throw a pin at him just now to get him to mark with Jason saying all those great things about his favorite team, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so nope, that's not true. See, I'm not a Raiders fan. I've been told that I am a Chargers fan. Or am I no, I'm a White Sox fan. Corey is the Raiders and the Chargers fan.
Seems like you're a fan of a lot of teams, and you hate the listeners' teams, no matter what.
No, I like listeners' teams. I love Ken Swanson's media team tomorrow night. I'm a huge fan of Kent's media team tomorrow night. Team Electric, baby.
Watch your ACLs, Kent.
How have we not talked about this yet? Like, I mean, I am thoroughly looking forward to cleating Josh Brisco tomorrow in the media game. It is going to get ugly.
Well,
I'm going boots.
Real quick.
I'm going boots high on Brisco or Beards, one of the two.
They sent out an email just now. The Current did for like some logistics stuff for all us people. No cleats anymore. That is a change from their last email. So no cleats.
What?
That's fine.
So that's fine.
I went and bought special, longer, metal spiked cleats just to go boots high.
Steel-toed boots for me. I'm gonna be blasting this thing like crazy. Can't go ahead and can't pack your shield, your shin guards. All right, punk. You bring your protection for the lower half of your legs because they're getting.
Do you carry around protection for the lower half, Kent? Typically in your wallet.
Bring protection, Kent.
I think I'm gonna have to around Brisco, but like I think he's gonna wear out extremely quickly. So I don't know if I'm ever have to worry about him being in my vicinity. He's probably gonna sit on. He's gonna find like a seat in the first row by like minute 3.
I'm gonna need to grab a juice box at some point, probably for sure. I mean, that's just sort of my lot in life at this point.
Whose conditioning do you worry about more, Briscoe's or Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's?
There it is.
With Bieniemy yesterday.
Shape
I
up,
mean,
Kent.
hey, look. I think Josh would fail a conditioning test. Let's just say that.
He'd be on the pup list for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, absolutely.
He probably. I'm surprised he's not on the pup list. I'm surprised he wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm.
2 got invited to do this. I'm stunned. Like this doesn't seem like your wheelhouse, Josh.
Yeah, well, your wheelhouse is going to be the ICU after I'm done cleating you in the chest during this game.
Shooing him. You can't cleat him.
I will be kicking like a madman. I don't care if I hit a ball or any balls whatsoever. There will be bruises for you to wear as medallions of pride after this media game tomorrow night, Kent Swanson.
Just make sure it's a soccer ball.
No promises.
That you hit.
I'm going to ask. Look, we're going to talk with Desiree Scott sometime in the noon hour, and I'm going to ask her what I should do in the game tomorrow night, because she's quite the physical player. Okay, let's just say that. And so I'm curious as to like some tips that she may give me for how to go about this game tomorrow night. That's what
I think we're going to be able to get away with murder because I believe that there is only one ref, and it is Matt Beasler. So I think.
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's Matt Beasler.
Chaos.
Oh, okay. So now I'm concerned. One of two things here: either he officiates the game favoring Team Heartland because Nate is on that team, or he specifically favors Team Electric just to. Just because Nate is on that team so that he can then say, it's one of those friend things like, I'm going to talk trash to you and I'm going to needle this guy because, he's my friend. So there you go, Nate. You got a yellow card and a red card there, buddy.
Preemptively throwing questions into the logistical process of all of this, already asking for a recount, already blaming the referee. That's loser's lament, Jason.
Just saying. That's all I'm saying there. You know what? If DraftKings, if that was ready to go with mobile sports betting in Kansas right now, I'd put some cash on us to win tomorrow.
Watch your 6, Kent.
Oh, I'll put something on right now. Like, I mean, Jason, I feel like we should probably set some kind of bet up with Brisco and Nate. And I'm sorry, Beards. I almost used his real name. That was weird.
Weird. Hated that.
I'll do like a Joe's bet or something like this. Yeah, I'll do a barbecue bet with you guys.
I'm down.
If you want to make things interesting.
I'm down. I'm very excited about getting some lunch from these two.
I would put the deed to my house down on this game. I am not worried about you guys at all.
Okay. So we're betting. Hold on, Kent. We're betting lunch, and Brisco just bet his house. So it's lunch versus house. I feel good about the odds that we have here. Even if we lose, we have to pay for a lunch. If we win, we get a house.
But you have to live in it together.
For how long?
Even better.
For the duration of the mortgage.
Let's
For the duration.
30 years.
All right. Well, Kent, I got a almost a 7-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. So and a wife as well.
Look, yeah.
So
if you guys,
she's gonna come along with us.
If you guys all agree to move your families into the house, if you win the game, you guys get. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna live stream the whole thing. I'm gonna put cameras everywhere, but we'll make content out of that, and you guys can just have the house.
How many bedrooms are we talking about here?
3.
We'll be fine.
3, 1 bath. One bath. Great basement, though. Great basement.
The bath is going to be interesting.
You guys are going to have to shower together like a locker room sort of setting. I don't know. There's
Okay.
not a lot of space.
Good to know.
Bathroom's gonna. You guys are, the privacy issue is gonna be real.
You know
but,
what?
Hey, just lose the soccer game tomorrow. You can buy me barbecue instead.
I lived 3 years in a fraternity house.
Basically that again.
Had a huge bathroom. All right,
Basically
huge
that.
bathroom, lots of showers there, and you know, we'll figure it out. Okay, so
You might want to get a gym membership if you're going to try to pull this off.
I think the good news is for us, Jason, is that if we do actually move in, our wives and kids will leave us quickly, and a lot of space will open up in the house.
That's a great point. That's a great point. You know what? Bachelor life again.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys can do that.
I got a soccer win and freedom. Count me in.
Where'd my kids go?
All right, so the wide receivers, which is obviously what we were talking about with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. You know, we talked about it yesterday, Kent, so I'm curious your thoughts. Demarcus Robinson was released by the Raiders, and he didn't make it past the first cut. And when they signed him, there was talk about, okay, is he going to be competing for the third wide receiver spot? And it's one thing to say, like, well, he didn't make the squad. It's another thing to say, like, hey, they're going to keep 6 receivers, and they already know he's not one of them. Is there a, you know, we had a conversation and then connected it to the Chiefs wide receiver room, especially from a year ago versus now. Is there anything that you take away or view from that is, you know, a connection with the Chiefs, or what's your general view on Demarcus Robinson, the news yesterday?
Well, I mean, I think we know that, like, outside of Tyreek Hill, the receiver position hasn't been particularly consistent or great, right? So, like, I mean, I think there's probably something to be said about, hey, look, this is what the depth on the roster looks like at the receiver spot, you know. But, you know, at the same time, like, there's probably some caveats to add to that situation. I mean, like, you know, Demarcus Robinson had been in that system for so long. He had some very defined skill sets. He had some good relationships. He was good on special teams. Like, there's a lot. It's not always like, you know, it's not always an apples to apples comparison for some of these guys. But do I think that the Chiefs are infinitely better, you know, 2 through 5 at the receiver spot than they've ever been? Absolutely. And I mean, there's a little, I know it's kind of like a hedge, but I mean, I think there is something to be said about it. It's not maybe, it's not as drastic as it seems, but there's definitely something to be said about the strength of that position group last year.
Visiting with Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast. The position group will go a long way to what the offense will look like this year. If Mahomes will be as good, better, worse without Tyreek Hill, we'll find out and have the full assessment after the season is over. But one of the things I pointed out on Monday after the game against the Bears was, you know, a lot of positivity from the opening drive. 11 plays, they go down and score, and then that's the last we see of them. On Saturday at Arrowhead, I'm assuming we're going to see 3 drives from Patrick Mahomes. We saw 1 drive from him last year in Game 1, 3 drives in Game 2. We saw 1 drive in Game 1 this year. I'm guessing 3 drives in Game 2. I'm curious about what drive number 2 and drive number 3 will look like. I bring it up because last year we had plenty of conversations about, is the offense going to be fixed this week? And after 1 drive, Kent, it looked like the offense was fixed. and then it wasn't. The rest of the game. The first drive last year, they scored on 65% of their possessions to open the game. The rest of the game's drives throughout the season was only 36%. And their touchdown rate on the first drive last year was 53%. Touchdown rate every other drive after that in these games, 29%. So almost doubling. Now, some of that is, okay, you practice, it's the 15 plays and scripted and things like that, but I don't think it should be double the success rate on the first drive versus the rest of the game. It was a clear difference between what we saw right out of the gates versus, okay, what the heck is going on and why can't they move the ball now? That's the one thing that I would really like to see on Saturday is they looked good in drive number 1 on Saturday against the Bears, but they looked good in drive number 1 a lot last year, Kent.
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to really get enough to really make any kind of determination or really get a good feel about, you know, their conversions through, you know, I still don't think the preseason is going to necessarily be a great means to, you know, be that indicator for what we're, you know, trying to, you know, find out. But, like, to your point, like that is definitely something that this team struggled with. And, I think if I'm looking at it, what I want to see, because maybe not necessarily, the play calling is not going to be something that's going to help us, right? We're not going to get a good indication because of the play calling. But what I would love to see is I would love to see this team execute the basics, if that makes sense, through 3 drives. Catch the football. Don't drop the football. Don't fumble the football. Don't put the ball on the ground. Those kind of things I think are a contributing factor to what caused this team to fall off after the early opening script, right? Like that was those were some of the big things that I think were holding this offense, quote unquote, holding this offense back. Like they're still a very good offense.
Yeah.
But I think it's making sure that this team is executing the basics. I think that's going to go a long way in determining, if the Chiefs are going to be able to be consistent, from whistle to whistle.
Ken Swanson's our guest. Last one for you. You had your 53-man roster projection earlier in camp. Now that camp is finished, it's closed. They broke camp today. Any roster adjustment that comes to mind? I will bring up just real quick the running back, wide receiver. You had 5 wide receivers, the 5th one being Fountain. You had 4 running backs. Those 4 running backs, the ones that we've talked about a lot. Defensive tackle, Chris Jones, Derek Nottie, Turk Wharton, Colin Saunders. That was before Shelton. And then cornerback, obviously there will be a change because Lonnie Johnson was there, and that certainly made sense early on in camp. What are you thinking now that camp has happened? It feels like Justin Watson has a spot on this team, right?
Yeah, I would anticipate Justin Watson, being the guy that gets that opportunity. That would be the one that I think if they're keeping 5, I think Justin Watson's ahead of Jerice Fountain. The running back position, like Ronald Jones, is going to be an interesting one to monitor with his situation. I think there's a lot of things I would change about my 53 man. Obviously, some things have changed here as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't really optimistic. Even I think the last time I wrote, I wasn't super optimistic about what we'd seen out of Lonnie Johnson Jr. But kind of kept him, kind of holding on to him just as like a, this team made a small investment in him. They really aren't rolling out a lot of veterans at the quarterback or the defensive back position. It's going to be interesting there, but I think there's going to be a lot of changes, and I think that first preseason game told us a lot about this team. I'm curious to see what the changes are for the second week.
Well,
games.
And you wrote at that time that, it's a pretty volatile position in terms of who's going to make the team and where it goes from there. It's early in camp versus now. We've seen a preseason game. We've seen another, 2 weeks of practice since then, so we get a much better idea about how the cornerback position is going to shake out. Defensive tackle, though, I talked with Adam Teicher about this a couple of days ago, in that Danny Shelton now on the team, and I hope is a regular at press conferences. But if Chris Jones and Derek Nottie are on the team, Turk Wharton, Colin Saunders, Shelton, Stallworth, like there's some guys that are, if they keep 4 defensive tackles, which is typically what they do, who ends up being the odd man out, do you think?
Man, it's tough because it took. If you were asking me, I would prefer to have a guy that can play more of that nose tackle, 1-tech position. Derek Nottie's really the only guy in the middle of that defense that can really anchor well against the run. And I would prefer to keep. Maybe it's not necessarily who I would keep out, but who I'm kind of interested in trying to keep in is Danny Shelton because. Yeah. What we've seen out of Colin Saunders, not necessarily a 1-tech type. He's more of a 3-tech, but he got beat out by Trishawn Wharton. So, I think Stallworth is a guy that you probably could, you could have, man the 1-tech position. I know Danny Shelton absolutely can. I'm keeping an eye on Colin Saunders as potentially that odd man out. If we're looking at like the last cut of the position, that's the guy I'm paying attention to because Trishawn Wharton's better than him, and at along the interior, I don't really understand what he provides against the run, and I think that's something this team really needs to value.
Yeah, and Turk also offers some flexibility. They put him at defensive end a couple of times. They've used him out there where I guess Colin Saunders can play linebacker. so, I should point that out from a couple of years ago in week 17. So, the issue that Colin Saunders has had, and it's unfortunate, but he's just been too injured in his career. Like some consistency and him being available to see what he could really do. Like injuries have been an issue, and if that's the fourth guy you're keeping as a defensive tackle, and you're saying it's either him or Danny Shelton or even Turk Wharton, I got to go with the guy that's healthy, and I got to move on from the guy that's had some injury concerns because I can't count on that guy to be there every game.
Yeah, and I still it's beyond injury for me. Like it's curious to me because he just really hasn't been able to develop run or pass. It's just I think he did some good things in the preseason game.
Yeah.
But, his fit is curious to me at this point from a roster construction perspective.
We'll see what ends up happening. Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, and more importantly, a member of Team Electric for the game tomorrow night. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night, and really looking forward to how many yellow cards our team can pick up and the amount of Band-Aids and ace wraps and overall scars put on one Brisco and also Beards.
Future loser Kent Swanson. You can follow him on Twitter at Kent_Swanson. Maybe we'll get some of the play-by-play on what it's like from the hospital bed as you are tending to your wounds after your violent loss.
Hey, we look forward to the challenge of eviscerating Joshua Brisco.
I am allowed to put a shoulder into him, right? I haven't played a lot. It's been a minute since I've played soccer.
I don't think you're allowed to do that because I will. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let Matt Beasler know to keep an eye on you. That you have already made threats. You have posted on social media, and this is something that the official needs to be aware of beforehand.
Already in your head. Now you're going to be looking for me. Your head's going to be on a swivel. You know what I'm going to be? Scoring goals.
I don't think you are.
I'm going to
go ahead and say that you're not going to get a
goals.
point. That you're not going to have an assist or a goal. I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb on that.
You know what I am going to have? A dub, which is all that matters because I'm a team player.
No, you're going to lose.
About the name on the front of the jersey.
Kent, not tomorrow night. Kent, you're the man. Appreciate it. See you out there tomorrow night, bud.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Absolutely. There's Kent Swanson, KC Sports Network, KC Laboratory Podcast, as the Chiefs get ready for the Commanders on Saturday, and yeah, it is. I love when early camp 53-man roster projections are made because there's going to be some differences, and it's an idea of where you think the team is at that time. And I'll be honest, when we had him on, because it was around the time we had him on a few weeks ago, and when he had his roster projection, there wasn't a Kent, what are you thinking on this? It was that makes sense. If they keep 5 wide receivers, they like Fountain. Gordon can't play special teams. Justin Watson, don't really know much about him. He's a new guy, and sometimes the new guy, it sounds really cool, but they go with somebody that they trust, and they went with Fountain last year as well. So that totally makes sense. The defensive tackles, that made sense. There was no Danny Shelton. Cornerbacks, it made sense that Lonnie Johnson would be on the team. He's a veteran guy, and you're already going to have McDuffie and Williams and Watson. That 3 of your defensive backs are going to be rookies. So 3 of the 5, do you want to go 4 of 6 or 3 of 6 and keep Lonnie Johnson as a veteran? Those all made sense. But now looking at it, it's like Watson certainly feels like he's on this team. Justin. Danny Shelton, it feels like he's going to be on this team. Not only did they sign him, they put him right at the podium, and quite literally, we know Lonnie Johnson will not be on the team moving forward. So I like the early camp projections to then compare and contrast of where it's at when camp breaks. So,
should I get eye black for tomorrow?
No, because after the game was over, you'll have plenty of it already.
Wow.
Boom.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Also, have we mentioned Daniel Swanson's back?
Shut up.
Daniel Swanson's back.
I haven't seen that.
Chiefs tweeted it themselves.
When?
A while ago.
I've got, maybe because I've got it muted. Maybe we got Sorensen muted, I'm not sure. We gotta ruin days.
I'm sorry, that was an old tweet from 2021. Ignore me. Ignore me.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That's right, just ignore him. Just ignore him. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810.
We will hang out with Nate and Sports or Leisure. We'll have a little fun in the 1 o'clock hour. Sports or Leisure presented by Johnny's Tavern. I went to the Royals game.
Finally, I got myself a big plate of Espinachos.
Was it last Thursday?
On Thursday before the 100-year party.
Yeah.
I will say, if I don't ever do this at restaurants, I maybe have never done this at a restaurant. Waitress came up and gave her kind of the rundown of iced tea. So that's my grind now, apparently. And also, I don't need this menu. I'm having the Espinachos.
You threw the menu back in her face?
No, I threw it over her head. I hit another patron there.
Take this menu away, commoner.
But my own self-confidence, shockingly, for the first time ever in my life, was my own fault. Because I forgot that I order them without black olives most of the time.
I mean, what's the point then? You take off the black olives or you're dumb.
And so I ate around a few of my little pile of black olives at the end. The actual nachos, so good. I should say, if you're not a black olive fan.
Why are you even eating?
You liking black olives makes a lot of sense. I don't know what that says about me or you, but I would assume you liked black olives.
I can eat black olives plain.
Right
out of the can.
I assume that you scoop out the inside of an Uncrustable and then just pack that thing full of black olives and then just go to town.
Yeah, it's a black olive crustable is what I call it.
Yeah, absolutely, as it should be.
Black olive. Leave the gun, take the cannolis. Leave the black olives, take away the onions.
God, is there anything we have in common?
No, there is not. I mean, we both are on the air from 10. Oh, that we're both on the highway?
Yeah.
We just may be getting there in different vehicles, whatever the destination
yes,
is.
Absolutely.
That's all. 913-912-4810 is the text line to be a part of the show. So I didn't get into it with Kent Swanson. I'm not sure how we ran out of time with Kent. I mean, how could we possibly have run out of time? But one of the big improvements this year, if you're talking about the Chiefs, which, by the way, continue to be a top 5 offense. So, Trevor Sycamore, we had him on, and he said, what's the floor for this Chiefs offense? 10th? Is that maybe 5th is the floor for this Chiefs offense, right? The ceiling is obviously the roof and number 1. That's, something that they've been plenty of times before. So, but looking at Football Outsiders and the numbers that they have for third down conversion rates, right? And it's not just like, oh, they converted on 58% of their third downs.